Hi, Ines. How you been?
Hello, Thor. Brilliant. I hope that little recording thing, yes, I'm scratching my head, get all the little bits out of the way. That's it. Yeah. I'm great to see you. Absolutely
Great to
great to
see you
see you.
too.
Thank you.
How's your week been?
The week has been not bad. A little bit of sunshine makes a huge amount of difference, doesn't it?
Oh
It's
God, but it's
awesome.
also been so cold. Like it's great with the sunshine, but it's also been rainy and
Yeah.
cold, you know? It's like it is
Yeah.
June, literally,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah. It is. Yeah. It is true. Yeah. No, it has been very, very cold. Yeah. So, but it's okay. It's all right.
Yeah, I've been
Thing is,
sleeping.
we can't do anything about it, can we?
I've been sleeping so poorly this week.
Have
Maybe
you?
there's something going on in the universe that we're not aware of.
Well, one thing close to home, of course, is that terrible volcano that will erupt another time twice in 1 week. And that takes
Where is
also our
that?
physical power. Yes.
Where is the volcano?
Um, in Guano or someplace like that. It's in an African country.
Oh yeah, that's not too far away, is it?
No, but doesn't matter, does it? Because the whole seismic upheaval, it goes in
Yeah.
the atmosphere and the distress
Yeah.
of the people, of course, as well. I mean, that's out there, and then they'll have COVID as well as we do.
Yeah. Because that's,
Uh,
we talked about this is leading us in an interesting way, I think. We talked about mental health and depression and stuff just for this.
yes,
I suppose a
yeah,
facet or factor which people don't always bring into the equation is that actually we are picking up a lot of the negative stuff
this
which
is
are
it.
in the ethers too, and that can also have a bad impact on our physical mental health, right?
Absolutely, we're picking up other people's sack of sand
Yeah.
in addition to ours. I mean, with this, when we go into when we talk meditation, always close the chakras, open the chakras. But you see, that's when somebody, let's say, takes it a little bit more serious. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of people consider meditation as long as they're concentrating over a bowl of dishes, no problem. But you're still opening the chakrams.
Yeah.
So with sort of a slack attitude towards it, there you are, wide open. Come on. Where's all the negativity? Bring it on.
Yeah.
So even in something like that, you should always just balance yourself, close it down.
Yeah. Because otherwise
It's
you'll be
it's
like
it's
open
um
sesame for
it's
the
not taken
negativity.
serious enough because it's mostly a little phase sort of thing. Oh, you meditate. You must be,
Yeah. With that voice as well, right?
Yeah, it has to be that voice. That's right. But on that thing, I think I've mentioned very briefly that we're going to just briefly talk about the meditation, what's it for, the physical, the spirit, and also just a little bit of the variations of meditation, because
Mm.
they can, of course, reach enormous depths, which is either karmic pattern that you're meant to reach, or it just happens to be there. Anyway, that's what we're going to talk about. So, but we begin today actually. We talk not only of it's a weird introduction, not only about of the power and the strength of life, but also the ongoing glory that is with everyone, which is the birthright of every being, of every creature, of every living creature that is. And that, of course, is the reincarnation. That is our birthright. And that birthright of reincarnation is actually the power of individual happiness. It is also the strength of upliftment and peace for all. When people go through, any creature goes through a very horrific lifespan, born, die, horrific in between. Death could be horrific. Our happiness, internal, I'm talking about the spiritual happiness, knows, my God, I did it. I got the t-shirt. The spirit within you knows that other times will also come when life will be good, where life will be easy, where you can enjoy wherever you're going to be born. But that is everybody's birthright. That is our birthright as human beings. That's birthright of every creature within our planet, but also within the universes, which I think is nice. And we forget, yeah, it may be crappy, but things can always change, and they will change. But the guidance also, if we come back to the here and now, the guidance that we get from the guides, there you are. You have your pack of tarots, you have your little annual little horoscope book or whatever you have, doesn't matter. The guidance that we get from for ourselves from our guides is it's a little bit different usually. It is for the now, for the here and the now. And that's what we then call it gut instinct. So if you're walking along the street or whatever you're doing, it's my gut instinct told me to turn left instead of right type of thing. That is the guidance that we get from the guides, which is slightly different than if we go to someone who has the ability to communicate with spirit, with guides, let's say. That form of communication would be more a long-term situation that can be seen within the auric pattern of flow of that individual. The flow, they're not necessarily medium. I'm not going to nitpick. Anyway, let's just call a medium. Some mediums are such fine tuners, they're actually able to see, like our aura is like the rings of a tree. Even though our rings do not stop, let us say, as of now, they're able to see the auric rings or the auric flow within for 10, 20 years and so on and so forth. And they could tell you about their health, what might happen if you do not stop your bad habit of smoking or overindulgence, no walking, whatever it happens to be. So they're able to see that within the pattern of the auric flow. And that guidance is then given to that medium and then transferred to yourself. And that can be through crystals, tarots, it can be water readings, sand readings, bird readings, any other readings. It doesn't matter. The fact is that whatever triggers that clairvoyance mind is what will work. Always, whatever works for that person, it'll work. So what we're doing, what we're talking about with meditation today, what we're doing with meditation is we're actually clearing our mind and opening the doorways to the power of spirit, which are, of course, the chakrams. And when we open that part of the mind, that we are opening that part of the mind that needs to be revived, resuscitated, renewed, possibly redirected by the guides. It is the weakest part that always needs this resuscitation. And the weakest part is, guess what? The physical. So remember last week, we spoke about of the soul. Now the soul is that part of the physical which needs all we can get. The spirit that is around us doesn't need anything except the learning from yours truly. That's all it needs. So the resuscitation, the renewal, redirecting perhaps, redirected physical through meditations, does not matter what you believe is, doesn't matter your ideas on meditation, it doesn't matter whatsoever, because unless the mind becomes calm, unless the body can be revived, it doesn't make any difference. Nothing can work without that. There's only one power, and it's just the way that everyone sees it in a different way. That's all, nothing different, nothing at all, and perhaps a word. And everybody's fighting over a word. Wars start over a word or something, because it's a different concept. So the purpose of life, we're getting to this meditation thing, the purpose of life is brought about by becoming aware of oneself. It's not a different form of meditation. The difference is the intent, I suppose. What we're trying to say is that there isn't only one way or one reason for you to meditate. We can also experiment with a wonderful form of introverted meditation. Now, introverted meditation means exploring the spaces and the depths of oneself, and also exploring perhaps the depths of the totality of space. The internal struggle is to find the truth within ourselves, and also that part of us which actually is able to calm everything. That's really hard to find. So what we're doing, we're taking a trip into the inner body rather than outer. Now, already I've gone into this very thoroughly, and I find there's a slight contradiction with what I'm going to say. And I'm going to ask you, Thor, because you're very wonderful with the meditations that you lead and have been asked to lead as well. But what we're seeking usually is a truth, say, within ourselves. And in so doing, when we're trying to find that truth, we're also able to leap out into the vastness of space and time. But the vastness of space and time are actually no larger or vaster than finding the truth within ourselves. Truth isn't, oh, this is the right thing to do. The truth is that whatever life anyone has gone through, that it is still the correct thing to do. That is a truth. It has to be an internal acceptance of the total reason for life. That is a truth. Not that it is right to rob a bank or not right to rob a bank. That is all very, very superficial. Now, nearly everyone can actually participate in this because one does not necessarily have to be physically or spiritually inclined to meditate. You can become meditative to search and to explore within and without, because you can simply relax the body. And that in itself would release and relieve tensions, anxieties, and all the difficult situations that we call life. So most individuals do this for the fact of their life. Absolutely. We have to get through now, don't we? This life needs the relief. It needs the resuscitation that can be brought about literally quite simply by the power of meditation. And that means simply to be quiet. That's all it takes. It's not a great theory behind it. You don't have to be a master of anything. The important thing is to be a master of yourself, of your own personality. What works for you? How do you calm your mind? What is the trigger? Is it rap music? Is it Mozart? Does it matter? Is it no music? Does it matter? And if someone says, well, I listen to music and I do this, good, isn't that nice? You don't. That's also nice. Any comment, Thor?
Yeah.
Because of the reaction, what I'm thinking is the reactions that you have, because you also ask, don't you, after your meditative groups, you also ask them, and that's very interesting.
Yeah, I often ask them how they're feeling, what did they experience, what did they see, like what was it like for them? And it's quite interesting to just see the variety of how people responded to the meditation in the room. Some people just go really deep and see nothing and just sort of are in that sort of etheric space of calmness, whilst other people, you know, step out into the vastness of the universe. And I suppose it depends a lot on where that person is at that day, right? I think that sort of shows the variety on some days, you know, and that's the variety in my own meditation as well, is that on some days I'm just sort of stays calm in sort of the physical space, whilst on other days you sort of step into the more spiritual, etherical space. I suppose one of the I suppose what's quite nice for us is that we do provide people with a path to follow, and we play some music and there's a light and so on and so forth. But I suppose what most people also should do is to find out what works for themselves, right? And that takes a bit of experimentation and a bit of practice, and people don't necessarily give themselves the space to do that because we expect it to work right away. And I mean, meditation will work right away, but it does also take a bit of practice to make it work for long term.
It does. I think what you said is quite apt. What I'm finding, though, say in the groups that you also participate in, you get individuals who, well, of course, it's an interest. You go to this group, you go to that group, you go to here, there, and everywhere group. A jack of all trade and a master of none. If you find something that works, then you stick to it.
Yeah.
And then in your own time, your own guidance, your own psyche will actually say, listen, I've had enough of this.
Yeah.
now I'll try something else, or
Yeah.
I've had enough. It's time for change. But to always, I think, hop around is also disruptive for the mind. The continuity of the mind needs something to hold on to.
Yeah.
And the mind will respond to that situation.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been amazing because you've always gone over that brook of water, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, for the last, God, is it 8 years, Ines?
Yeah, that's right.
Following the
Well, that
same
brook of
meditation.
water that I've also gone over many, many, many more years. When the chips are down and I have a hard time concentrating, I go back to the grassroots. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah. And but it's also what's quite interesting though, is like I do find that there's a lot of people who come to like the classes that I guide people through, and they say, oh, I really struggle with meditation. And then when I guide them through the meditation, they're like, oh, wow, I really got into it.
Yeah.
So I think because of the visualization and the voice and the music and all the, like, it creates something for the mind to follow, which I think is really important. We need help. I love it
Absolutely.
when
Yeah.
when you do the guided meditation, because it gives I can do it very well myself, but there's something quite nice about being guided through it, and I think that's
Absolutely.
okay. Yeah.
Somebody else taking the lead, somebody else doing the work. That's absolutely correct. Now, when you're saying that, are these the groups you're now seeing even at work? Was it one-to-one? But it's face. You're actually there in body.
Yeah, I mean, both. Either way, either way, when I've done it online, or now as I'm also doing it in person, which is really great. It's there is definitely something special about doing it, some of it in person. I really am enjoying that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yes, I love it too. When you do the meditations, it's, somebody else has to think about where to put my next foot. It's not me. Is it descriptive enough?
Yeah.
That's good. Very interesting. Now, if we want to search within ourselves, we cover the vastness of space. Okay, so if we want to search within ourselves, it takes a little longer, simply because the searching within goes on and deeper and becomes stronger and better. But through that seeking, the gifts that are the gifts and the power that are within us are enhanced and are opened again. And I say again because all of the gifts that we have always been there and were used in the first degree of life in a very much more positive way. All they have been done is covered up. Now, when I'm talking about searching within, we're talking about our life. It's not just planet Earth. It can be the universes. It can be the variations are so enormous, our little minds could not even begin to understand it. There was an amazing advert on TV, a beer advert, and they showed men drinking, guys drinking in a pub, and then it went back and back and back until they had the same group of guys, but they were something like, I don't know, so little bugs or something, or little water things, drinking from a water hole, the beginning of life, and they were slurping away at this, stuff already then, and now they're at a pub still slurping away. But that is absolutely correct. How are we able to identify? But if we're able to see that what we were so far back, we get a very different picture of ourselves, where we are now. Or when you realize that you've actually been an animal, perhaps a Bengal tiger, and you've seen, because they mate for life, you were looking into the eyes of your mate for life. Or if you're a monkey, there's some parts of the world where they're revered. And there you are, cosseted, fed little grapes and other little bits and pieces because you were revered. The connection between, say, the monkey and the caretaker of those things has been known to become so close that they learn from each other.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about looking into the encyclopedia, but learning on a very different level. Yeah. It's quite amazing. So to look into oneself takes longer because you go deeper and deeper, and it's just incredible. But by what we're doing, though, is moving within ourselves and stripping off literally every layer until we reach what we're looking for. And what you had said a moment ago, Thor, the guided meditations, we begin with relaxing, opening the chakrams on a dusty road, one little layer, discarded, moving through that dimension, another little layer, brook of water, another little layer. It's always moving a little tiny bit deeper and deeper and deeper. The other one, of course, meditation is simply to calm the body, to ease the pressures of life. And the other is to search within and perhaps develop what is within. And the other, of course, can reach out, can see in a progressive way, literally what is around, meaning all the possibilities of travel, moving, seeing, feeling. I'm going to bring this forward. I was also going to mention astral travel through meditation. The astral travel would tie in very nicely with the traveling. You can go to Rome. You can walk on the Spanish steps. You can go to the Colosseum. You can go to the Himalayas. As we do on the meditation, we stand high on a mountain and we breathe in the air. You can hear the wind whistling through the valleys. All of that is through meditation, is still the bottom line of it. The possibility is absolutely amazing. So there's a lot in meditation, and everyone is able to achieve something. I just said astral projection, but just many different states. There's so much. If you're talking about the Eastern cultures where you can be buried alive, this control of the body through breathing meditations is just immense. You know, Thor, you've read about this as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
All I can say about that is we are each born into our own culture, into our own space. I can respect that. It's not something I would wish to emulate. That's why I'm saying it. If I was meant to, I'd be there. I'd be one of those guys doing it. So it's not, it's an achievement for his or her life, but not necessarily for our life, really. Is there anything you want to add to that?
But I think it gets us back to the experimentation, though, right? It's about figuring out what works for you. Yeah. Right? Giving ourselves the time to figure out what works for one as an individual. Obviously the trend is to go to India or China and become a Buddhist or do this, that, and the other. And for some people, I suppose that is their path of life, but it is also a trend, right? Yes. So I think one thing which is really important is, as opposed to just like double check that you're not just following a trend, and perhaps there's a different kind of meditation that would be more useful than the other. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Oh, total sense. All you're doing is piggyback riding on somebody else's culture. Yeah. Well, if you're Christian and let's say you've given that up, why not look into your own religion and sort that out and see what might be good in it? Yeah. And not somebody else's. Yeah. All you're doing is it's an easy way. It's an easy way. It's already an established situation, and you're being told to do this and that, eat whenever it is necessary. And so it's not yourself. You're not, that's the hard bit. As you just said, to go on your own. It's really, because there's no sort of pre-structure to follow, basically. Yeah, exactly. That's right. So we can always have, as we just mentioned, a very deep state of meditation, or you can be very aware, and we're very quiet inside. But they're quiet inside where everything, let us say you're in an environment that's very caustic, very busy. You can still be quiet inside, even though everything is going haywire around you. And I was thinking of a film I saw some time ago, and this was some earthquake or whatever. It was in some city, and they were down in a tunnel, in a shaft, sort of like a train shaft, something like that, underground thing. And anyway, they were all screaming and screeching and doing this, that, and the other. And then the one person who obviously, it's a film, I know. They just got their act together and they quieted down. And then they said, well, da 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 da, and he led them out. And this is, it's obvious, it's film, it's a severe situation. However, when things go very wrong, let's say you had a car crash, instead of screaming, passing out, if you're able to step into that zone, your own zone, and be quiet, you can figure things out. Even though everything else is, um, going wrong. And that would apply if you're in a business, you have to do some public speaking, all of a sudden you freeze. My God, what do you do? If you have been meditating and you have a format, you concentrate on the throat chakra, you concentrate on the throat chakra color, and you also link in with your guide. The reason it would not work perhaps is because you don't have faith in yourself. That's why with a repetitive meditation, you know what you're getting, you have trust in yourself, that you are quiet, it is your way of being quiet. And that is the difference between success and not success, because I cannot do it. I'm not as good as la da 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 da. You already failed. It's as simple as that. It's also very difficult not to listen to other individuals. Oh, I do this. Oh, yes, I've flown across the moon. Yes, 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 yes. And then there you are, rooted in your seat. Yes. Only thinking of, oh, God, well, I have to do this and that when I get home. We're human. But practice, practice makes the difference, doesn't it? It makes perfect. What I did also want to say, meditation is a heightened sense of awareness. It's not a sleep state. The brain waves are different. They alter. The whole thing alters from the physical to, let us say, to a more spiritual vibration. And also, always what we were just saying, not to forget, we mentioned this just recently, what we open, we close. Always leaving the bottom door just a little bit open, because that is the life force. The Kundalini is the power that holds the spirit which is around us. What do you think, Thor? I mean, it's in a nutshell. Introvert, extrovert, different to only just looking for the daily fix, which we need. We have to live. But also, once we know a little bit more about ourselves, the immense, incredible journey that each of us has made, maybe we think, wow, wow, that's well done. That's why nobody can be better than anyone. There might be money, that's awesome. Yeah, if you have it, go for it. But if we don't, maybe there is always a really, really good reason for it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I suppose it comes back to this thing which I was talking about before, which is about practicing acceptance. I'm having to.
God. Oh yes. Oh, God.
I'm having to try my best to practice some acceptance in my own life, which is a good lesson to go through. It's a part of the journey.
It is, yeah.
And that's just in so many ways, it's just how it is.
I think maybe the listeners might be interested in this as well. Acceptance, all right? A sort of acceptance. There was a lovely lady who went to Owen for clairvoyance. Her company was breaking up. They were making a lot of redundancies, and they asked some of the individuals who would be willing still to work, obviously, until they closed, winding everything up. And of course, everyone else was sour. She went to Owen, and he told her, "You are not going to lose your job." She went in there. Wow, she did a good job, not stepping on anyone. So she did this, she did that, everything else, and they were so pleased with her. She got an enormous bonus, a bonus big enough that she could buy a house. She really did an amazing job. However, she lost her job. So pitter patter, she went back to Owen. She says, "As you told me, I wouldn't lose my job." Now, this is from the guides. And he said, "That's right. If I told you you were going to lose your job, you wouldn't have worked so hard and you wouldn't have gotten the bonus."
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So we never know. There's a nice lesson in there. It's about always do your best,
Yeah,
right? Because you never
absolutely.
know.
You never ever know.
You never ever know. So just do your best,
Yeah,
basically.
absolutely.
Always.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
if it means you're doing a little bit extra, that goes a long way often.
Yeah. No, it's and what I suppose, my initial sort of physical reaction, I suppose last week was a bit like
Yeah.
rumbling, right? But then it's an interesting thing to go into the meditation, because the meditation, at least in my experience, I'm not sure if this is everybody's experience, it does give me a sense of, I suppose it does bring about that calm, and it does bring about that sense of perspective, which I think then does bring about a bit of acceptance, right?
Yeah.
Initially my feelings were like, "Brr," and then I slept on it, and then I
Yeah.
meditated. Obviously, meditated quite a few times since then, because it was like, wait, last week, um, and it feels much better. It
Yeah.
feels less. It feels less rumbling, because I've given myself that space, and I think
Yeah.
giving oneself that space is really good for our well-being.
Absolutely, that's right. Yes, and I'm
Mm.
certain in between that, your guys were also calming and soothing down the ruffled feathers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's one of my personality traits, right? And I know that very well, is that initially my feathers will be like
Yeah, me too. Rah.
quite
Yeah,
rustled,
exactly.
but then
Don't
if I
want it. Yeah.
just remind myself, just give yourself some time, it will sort of calm down. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I've definitely practiced what you preach, right? That is,
Yes. Yeah.
it
But
is
then the other
essential.
side of it, I can be too much of a doormat. Somebody asks, yes, yes, I'll do that. Well, without thinking it through,
Mm,
that maybe I haven't even checked my diary.
mm,
And you make promises. So yeah,
yeah,
we're
it's,
human,
it
aren't
is it
we?
is a fine balance, isn't it? Because I think there's a fine balance between like assertiveness and
Yeah.
acceptance, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere in between there.
Yeah.
I think. So
Yeah.
yeah. What's the positive message for the week,
The
Ines?
positive message, oh, so positive, is it not? Yeah. Dwell and follow your dreams, but don't forget to live.
Okay. Dwell, follow your dreams, and don't forget to live.
Like for now,
For
people are
now.
always putting out, oh, don't do that. Oh, they're squirting away. As I'm just taking money because in 20 years they're going to retire and that's what they're living for, their retirement.
Yeah. No. Live now.
Yeah, live now. Also live now.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
Because in 20 years' time, I'm just taking that hypothetically. Who knows? Maybe your health isn't there.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
partner isn't there. Who knows? Maybe the world
Exactly.
isn't there. It might not even be accessible. On that cheerful little note,
On that cheerful little note,
yeah,
live your life.
yeah, live your life and enjoy it.
Thank you so much for listening. And if you have any comments, thoughts, please send them across to Inez and I. We always respond, always subscribe. That's really helpful, and all that jazz. And we'll be back again here next week.
Oh, great, Thor. Absolutely fab.
All right.
Yes.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye bye. Bye bye.